What's up guys, back for another Star Wars Black Series review. Today we're taking a look at the exclusive and very new Clone Commander WOLFFE. This guy's one that I've been looking forward to for quite a while as we kind of work our way through the upcoming onslaught of exclusives for this line. So this guy comes in our standard Black Series box. You can see him there in the window. We've got some fantastic artwork down there in the bottom corner. He does not have a number because he's exclusive. The back has that same artwork and then a write-up in various languages. So let's pull this guy out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package, Clone Commander WOLFFE, and like I said, this is one that I have definitely been looking forward to. It has some interesting things going on with it. We're definitely going to compare it to the other Clone Commanders and of course Captain Rex, because we've got some similarities, but we also got some interesting differences. So let's do Articulation first, and then we'll take a look at the rest of this guy. Alright, now as far as Articulation goes, this guy's going to be exactly what you think. We have seen this particular figure in one way or another quite a few times in this line. He's basically a standard clone trooper with a few little differences. So we know what's going on here. The head is on a disc and a ball. Unfortunately, because they're using an older body, it doesn't have a double ball peg like we're seeing more recently in some of the newer figures. So he's got a disc, he can go back, he can go down, he can rotate side to side. Of course, the helmet is removable, so be careful when you're rotating that. We're likely going to see some people reporting paint rub, I assume. Arms cannot go out too far. They go out a little bit. You've got to get the shoulder armor to kind of go up over the chest armor, and then it'll go up. You can rotate the arms all the way around. They are ratcheted somewhat. We've got bicep swivel, which is always a rarity in this line, but troopers have it. We have got the always appreciated double jointed elbow for the clones, and it works pretty well. We have got hinged and rotating wrists. There is, of course, a torso articulation. He can't go back too far, and he can hunch over just a little bit, but he has full range of motion to spin. Legs can go out that far. Kick forward, kick back. There is a cut in there to swivel that thigh. We, of course, have those double jointed knees, and then you've got a rocker and a hinge down there at the ankle. So again, it is exactly what you think. If you've got a clone trooper, you know what this guy has going on for him. There's really nothing different, nothing being hindered or anything. The helmet definitely does get in the way a slight bit, but not enough to really mention it. And then the only other bonus thing he's got is that the viewfinder here is articulated and it can do a little swivel action. So as far as look and feel of this guy goes, there is a lot new, but there's also a lot of old here. My kind of thought process with this figure is that he is an old figure with quite literally a new coat of paint on it. So we've got a lot of old reuse here. This guy is, for the most part, a standard clone trooper, which honestly is not a problem. He is a clone trooper, so he should be very similar. But we've got some differences. We've got Rex's belt, which is a standard clone belt, just with the holsters added on. Both of his pistols can go in there. We've got a similar skirt piece that Rex has, but this is shorter. Rex's goes down past the knee. This goes to the top of the knee. We've got the antenna on the shoulder here, which looks like Clone Commander Cody, but it's not the same. It's a different piece. Cody's is slightly longer, and it's sculpted a different way. It kind of juts out at the shoulder in a different fashion. But for the most part, he is, unique in his paint scheme, and he shares a lot in common with other clones, which again is fine. My one real gripe, and I had this with Rex as well, when it comes to what they share with clones, is the hands. So he and Rex both have two pistols. He's a dual-wielding clone, but he only has one trigger finger. That really bothers me. The misimplementation of trigger fingers is always a hot button issue for me. I know I can cut the finger and make a seam in between the middle and index, but I shouldn't have to do that. I just find it annoying. So it's one thing to point out. Beyond that, though, in terms of the overall look and feel, where he really shines is obviously, you know where I'm going with this, is the paint scheme. This guy looks really fantastic. My one gripe, if I have to say one, and it's more of a different state of things than anything else, is that he is very clean in comparison to the most recent clone that we got, Rex, who is incredibly dirty, but at the same time, Gree is not dirty, and neither is Cody. So it's not a huge thing. It's just a reference point to talk about. Beyond that, though, he does have some dirt on him, and then the most of his paint scheme is done in the wolf motif. So you've got the gray paint on him. We've got the tampoed logos and emblems on his shoulders here. Really dig what they did with the wolf there. But of course, his defining characteristic and what I truly love about this character is going to be that helmet. And getting up close to this helmet, you can see what I mean. It is obviously a very unique look. very unique design. It's very signature to Wolffe in general, and I truly, truly love this one. It's one of my favorites when it comes to clones. It's just a nice design, and I think the emblem that they have emblazoned on the mask, on the helmet, just looks fantastic. It's even got some of that little dirt spray that we've seen on the body, and overall the paint on it is fantastic. I think they did a really, really good job with this helmet. I mean, it's kind of a key characteristic when you talk about troopers in the Star Wars universe, is their various helmets, and when it comes to the unique clones, that's where they really shine, and I think Hasbro did a fantastic job translating this one into figure form. But of course, we do need to get underneath this helmet. And here's Wolffe underneath that helmet. Like I mentioned, he of course has that big scar that he gets from Ventress, if I remember correctly. So he lost the eye and then he gets an implant. And overall, I think the sculpt here is well done. It looks pretty solid. I'm finding this to be an interesting mix of kind of the Clone Wars show and Temuera Morrison, because as I'm going to show in a moment, this is not even remotely the same sculpt that we got with Rex, which I find interesting yet slightly frustrating and annoying at the same time, because they are clones, so they should look exactly the same. But we've gotten two without helmets at this point, and they look different. So while I'm happy with the way this looks, and I do think it looks good from kind of the point that I just mentioned, I think it's very Clone Wars-esque, while also blending in the real-world aspect of Temuera Morrison, kind of like what they do with the Rebels characters, where they make them more realistic. Yet this guy actually has a real-world counterpart who already has a figure, and they don't look the same. From a technical level, it's a fine head. I think it looks good. Again, I would mention the whole paint rub issue. Be careful taking that helmet off and on and spinning it around and moving it. You might just start to scratch him up a bit. And real quick, as far as the accessories goes, this guy has just his two pistols. You can see we've got one here in my hand and we've got one here in his hand. And like I mentioned, you know, the big gripe for me with these, because I'm okay with these pistols, they're kind of basic, but, you know, they fit the character, is that he doesn't have two trigger fingers, so you're going to have to do something about this left hand, or you're going to have to maybe just keep it in his holster. Either way, we've got his pistols. They look fine. They fit the character, but there's not a great deal to talk about. We obviously have to compare this guy to some of his named clone brothers, because, you know, we would be remiss if we didn't do that. They're some of my favorite figures. I love what Hasbro has done, for the most part, with the clones in this line. We've got Wolffe, Gree, Cody, and Rex over here, so you can see what I mean when they all share kind of that base body. They're all very, very similar, but they're all very unique at the same time, which I just really dig. It makes for a great display piece. It makes them all look very much like a cohesive unit, but they all have their own distinct personalities. And then, of course, you throw in some regular clones. Makes for a great display piece on your shelf for sure. So yeah, there you go. That's what Wolffe looks like against his other clone brothers. And like I mentioned, here is a comparison between the two different heads. And you can see what I mean here. We've got one that very much looks exactly, and I love this head sculpt, looks just like Temuera Morrison over here with the Rex figure. Yet the Wolffe figure looks very much like Temuera Morrison, not quite as much as Rex, but I still get this distinct Clone Wars look and feel. So while I don't think I necessarily like the direction of them looking different, I don't dislike this head sculpt. I just find it kind of an odd choice that was made. So yeah, you can see they are very, very much different. Still dig the scar on Wolffe no matter what, but there you go. That's kind of what they look like side by side. So there you go, guys. We have got another clone in the bag. This is a longtime favorite. I know it's one a lot of people have been looking forward to. I do think Hasbro did a pretty decent job on him. He's certainly not perfect. He is on that old clone body, but, you know, it's kind of where he belongs. I do think that maybe his price point is a little high because he's a $25 figure and Rex is a $20 figure, but you arguably get a little more out of Rex, I believe. That said, I'm still glad to have him. There was no way I wasn't going to buy this figure. He does have his intricacies and his quirks for me in general, with the lacking of two trigger fingers, the fact that his face looks different than Rex's, but I think I've justified that to myself at this point. Otherwise, it's kind of a must-have for anybody that wants prequel stuff. It's a must-have for clone collectors for sure. And in general, I think Hasbro did a pretty solid job here. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Clone Commander Wolffe from Hasbro. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.